Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, July 12, 2022. Time is 10:02 a.m. Continuing our fiscal year 23 budget deliberations and a desperately needed break from BOE. Attending our commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. We have one item. It's fiscal year 23 deliberations to include the A, which is the personnel budget, with staff accountant Brandy Falcon and a potential action item. Brandy, take it away, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. So today we're just going to get through as much of the personnel summary as we can, the remaining requests that you guys need to decide on. Before we jump into that, really quickly on our preliminary summary, right now we are $157,000 more in revenue than expenses. That will change before this Friday. There are several adjustments we need to make. The URD number changed again. We have to update the wage study numbers. We have some revenues that we have to add in. We have some PDC stuff we'll need to discuss, so it will change. Jumping into the personnel summary, you guys have already approved all or cut any of the requests for new FTEs, so we're gonna go right into the position changes section. These green ones have already been approved, so the first one on the list is building and grounds. There's a request to reclass 3 maintenance operators. This was at the suggestion of HR to be consistent with reclassing the maintenance operators in solid waste and parks and waterways. Total loaded cost for all 3 of them is $25,000. And once again, all of these have been reviewed by HR. And I've put their comments to the side on each of these.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to stay equitable across job descriptions.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay. So I'll mark those ones as approved. Next is going to be a request to increase the assessor's overtime pool. You asked me to do some analysis on this. They had $200,000 in salary savings this year that have covered the $25,000 overage in overtime. I think that we can definitely anticipate even more salary savings next fiscal year. So you could approve this or cut it and just, it would be probably funded with salary savings
Which
next
one is
year.
it again?
It's the overtime
Oh, the
pool
overtime
request
pool.
for the
Okay.
assessor. Yep.
Okay.
can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that I'd be comfortable cutting it at this point, and if something happens, that they are fully staffed, if they're fully staffed, I don't know how they're gonna have a whole bunch of overtime, but, yeah, so. And it's one of those things too that we can say, okay, this amount of hours is approved, it's just not funded. So,
Right, 200,000 is a lot of overtime. So if they needed more, we can always use contingency next year.
Right, and I think he's going to be hiring some temps as well, so that might take up some of the slack. Okay.
Perfect, okay. The next one is a request from Auditor's Office to reclass one of the accountant positions to a grade 11 based on increased duties. This position has taken on a lot more responsibility with grant management, as well as overseeing our tax accountant.
Where is that now?
It is right here below the red. It is loaded.
Oh, clerk, okay. I see
Yep,
that.
annual cost of $5,400.
okay. I don't think I have a problem, with that, with the, amount of duties that has increased, plus the volume of work, in that particular position.
Yeah,
Okay, what's the increase again?
$5,400 annually.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
And then next we have the BOCC request to go up a couple steps for the admin supervisor. It's based on a parity adjustment. It's an annual cost of $8,700.
Yes, for me.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Next we have requests from community development. So there are 6 plans examiner / building inspector positions. They want to reclass a couple of them to a grade 10 and make them senior building inspectors. The remaining ones, they want to give them a step based on their certifications.
Okay.
Altogether, it would be total cost of $29,000.
For how many positions?
6.
Okay. So that's about $5,000 apiece.
Yeah.
Just roughly as we go through these, we had, well, we didn't officially budget, but projected that the level of increase loaded would be about 8 mil.
Yes.
What are we roughly looking at with all of this?
So all the requests in here together is 1.2 million.
Okay.
It's budgeted, so anything you cut, you're just adding more revenue to the bottom line.
Okay. But versus the 8 mil, are we just under that?
What do you mean just under the 8 million?
Okay, so we were projecting 8 million across the board
Countywide
Yeah.
for the wage study adjustment and the
Yes.
COLA. Yep.
I'm sorry?
So that 8 million does not include this. This is separate.
Okay, so this is in addition to?
In addition to the 8 million, yes,
Okay.
yes.
But there are other cuts that potentially take it down? Or we don't know yet?
Yes, any cuts that you make today will take that down.
Like, we just cut the 22,000 in additional overtime,
Okay.
and so that took it down further.
Okay, I'm fine with the community development. By the way, I just spoke with Sylvia this morning. We're at 128 openings countywide. So
Right.
I'm fine with community development.
Okay.
Leslie?
I'm still thinking about it.
David, how many
So-
openings?
We just filled one building plan review, right?
No, we
Or-
have not.
Oh, okay, so
Just real quick. Go ahead, guys.
We have 2 open plans examiner positions and 1 open building inspector
inspector.
position.
Okay. Have you been interviewing?
We've had 2 applicants that don't meet the qualifications for the plans examiner, and that position had been open for 2 months already.
Okay.
And the plans examiner, or excuse me, the building inspector, that position just was recently open about a week ago, and I have a few candidates, but with no experience.
Okay.
commissioners, if I may,
Go ahead.
that's why we're asking for this, is we're trying to recognize the people we have who have certifications and experience, and really just acknowledging those qualifications, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the purpose. I just want to make sure that, that it has the intended consequence and that you are able to attract and retain, people, because I know that and there's something I'll talk to you offline about later, so.
Bill, quick thought?
Don't know about it until you try it, so I would say leave it in.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Brandy.
Okay, so are these approved then? It sounds like you and Bill were in favor.
I'm fine with it.
Okay,
Bill's, I think he said he's fine with it.
Yes.
Leslie, I guess, is still open on it.
Okay.
But you've got 2.
perfect. Then Community Development has a request to convert their permanent tech position. They do have this on the agenda for this week's HR meeting. So I have it noted that we would remove this from the budget request if it's approved this week at the meeting.
Okay,
It's an annual cost of $4,000.
okay. So you need us to act on it now?
You could leave it, you could say, let's cut it, and we'll address it at the HR meeting this week. Those would probably be the 2 options.
No, let's leave it in.
Leave it in for now, okay. Next,
More crap.
District Court, this is Carlene from District Court requesting to increase the bailiff overtime pool by 20,000. We were asked to do some analysis on that. About 5,000 this year has been on bailiffs. The remaining 12 was on the admin assistant position. They just added a new position, and that employee has taken a state position, so we would not expect to see overtime overage next fiscal year.
Leslie, what do you think?
I know Carlene's on the line, and I've heard the explanation over and over again. It's just with that additional person, I just really struggle with, you're getting a whole entire new body, 40 hours a week, and why would the admin assistant still need that much overtime? So I'm just.
I don't think I'm sorry. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I have 2 mute buttons here. I don't think the overtime money is going to be spent on the admin assistant. I really think it's going to be spent on bailiff, just because coming off of COVID, and you know, we're struggling. We're doing 6 to 8 jury trials a week to try to catch up, and it's just that is taking a lot more time. We're still doing Zoom meetings. It's just a time factor, you know, trying to catch up from where we were pre-COVID. So my opinion is that the overtime money is going to be utilized for bailiff's overtime.
Okay, so how about we do this? How about we cut it to 15,000 and then you keep us updated after 6 months?
Okay, I can do that. And I'll have a better idea, you know, as I go along this next year, how we're going to, you know, be able to handle everything and catch up. It'll give me more time to give you a better analysis.
I'm good with that.
Okay,
I'm good with that. Bill, you okay?
Yes.
So
Okay,
cutting to
cutting to
15,000.
15,000,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have a request
Thank you.
from Marissa in District Court, their overtime pool. They're requesting an increase of 50,000. We did run that overtime report, and it's spread out amongst all the employees. It's not really just one employee, and they are over budget already. They're at 73,000. We budgeted 50,000 last year.
well, if the bailiffs are working, that means the court clerks are working. So
Okay.
we got to keep that one in.
Keep it in,
Yes.
okay?
Turn on. Hi, I just want to add that normally our salary salvage covers that, but because we've had some positions are difficult to find qualified applicants, but we just, to protect ourselves, we just wanted to have that earmarked. I think we did that last year too, and we ended up not having to take it because we were able to cover it. Our A budget eventually covered it.
Right, so my only concern is we don't want to overtax if we think we can cover it. So do you want to lower that amount, you think, or?
Brandy, what do you think?
I would have to go look at their salary savings.
Okay,
See how
I'm
much
showing
is
that
in there
they're,
so
I'm
far
showing
this
up
year.
that they're over budget, but if you want me
Oh.
to go back and look at it, I can.
well, if they're over budget and they've had you haven't had a whole lot of open positions
Yeah, I
compared
know.
to other
We are over
departments.
budget for the overtime for sure. I just,
Yeah.
but the A budget, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm fine keeping it in for now. I mean, we got to get these things cycled through the court system.
Thank you.
Okay. And then next also, from District Court, first there are two, court services clerk twos. They want to do a grade change due to career progression. I did talk this through with Sylvia, since it is the clerk's department. She can speak more to this, but she didn't see any issues with it.
Okay.
Was it just the conversions we're talking about?
Go ahead, Sylvia.
You have to come to the microphone, sorry.
What we did when we reviewed all the requests the board wanted us to look at was to have a conversation with the departments and determine, you know, what is going on, why are they asking for the requests, and in the district court situation and a few other ones, it was their ability to move the positions, provide that career progression for them.
So these were clerks 1 and now they'll go up to 2s?
No, they
No.
just want to change the grade for these positions.
Clerk 2 to 3.
Oh, is it going from 2 to 3?
And there's no step changes, we discussed that,
Right.
so we're
Oh,
just doing
okay.
the grade
Step
change.
changes,
Yeah, we had
yes.
other people that were just gonna be, they were
Yeah,
just
they
gonna have
did
a
cut.
grade, but we removed those because the,
The steps, yeah.
the wage study thing will already handle that.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. So then that's more, I think, in line with community development then, and with the step changes removed. So
Yes,
I'm
these-
fine with the,
These two people are going from a clerk 2 to a clerk 3.
Which is a grade 3 to 4. right, and then one.
Yeah, they're keeping their same step.
okay,
Okay with that?
yeah.
And then next, also in district court, they have those temp scanners. They've been temps
Yep.
for, 7 years or something? So HR has recommended that we do convert them to permanent positions.
Yeah.
And that is a annual cost of $69,000.
Yeah, and then that one's the one that you've kind of been using as a feeder pool for your permanent position, so maybe this will create some stability.
Yes, it would create, I would hope, yes, it would create stability and grant them the additional benefit of accruals and vision and dental. And we have other departments sometimes borrow them when they needed emergency employees, so this will just make it easier.
Makes sense, okay.
All
You
right.
good with that?
Yes.
All right, next is a request from elections to increase their overtime pool by $1,000. They said they anticipate using more because we're gonna have an August and November election.
Fine,
Yes.
I'm okay.
Okay. Then next, several requests from elections. They're restructuring their elections department to be more consistent with larger counties like Ada. Total loaded annual cost is going to be $18,000.
I think we have to with 103,000 voters. I don't know how they do it right. 103,000 voters. I don't know how they do it right now.
Very carefully.
And about 180,000 population.
Yeah, and it's a very small percentage-wise,
Fine.
so.
Okay. Next, elections has also requested to increase their temp wages pool by $4,000.
Yeah, we already increased it for this year, so it's can't pay them $12 this year and $10 next year.
Right. And then next, HR has requested to convert 3 generalist positions up 2 grades to, I believe, a senior generalist. Total annual cost is $32,000.
So question, not specifically to this, but just in general.
Yes.
These changes that we're looking at, the upgrades, are these, and maybe this is a question for Sylvia, is this the result of the wage study?
No, these are reclassifications and restructuring requests.
Okay,
So those are separate. But Brandy currently, I believe, has all of that, the total amount in your budget projection as of today.
okay, so as we go through these reclassifications, are these brought about for reasons of parity? Or, go ahead.
A reclassification would be brought about based on job duties
Okay.
and responsibilities and their level of complexity. And so HR looked at the ones that were going to have requests for reclassification, and they did align with the Korn Ferry method of evaluation to adjust them.
Okay,
And then for the HR positions, we did send that out to Korn Ferry to evaluate.
Okay.
And that was their findings.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Leslie?
So I just want to make sure. So right now, not including and you've been approved for the additional position.
Yes,
Okay, so then that means 5 people plus you.
yes.
And so you want 3 of those to be seniors?
4 would be seniors and 1 would be a generalist.
Okay.
So the seniors would be doing extensive recruiting, compensation, and employee relations, and then compliance and risk management, and benefits. And then 1 would stay the HR generalist, which would be sitting up at the front desk and would assist with recruiting and catching some of these other duties based on the load of volume of work that we have.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not 100% right there right now. But I will, along with David's positions, ask a couple more questions.
Bill?
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it? Yeah, I am too.
Okay, so I'm hearing 2 okay with it, so I'm gonna mark them as approved.
Okay,
Next is a request from KCSO Rec Safety to do an hourly stipend for patrol deputies in Rec Safety. It'd be $1 an hour stipend, so 2,000 hours a year. Total cost would be $12,000 for all the positions.
okay, what is the rationale?
Everybody else gets special duty pay.
Somebody from
Dive team.
KCSO might be able to better speak to the rationale why they're asking for it.
Take it away, Under Sheriff.
Under Sheriff Nelson, the rec safety consists of a sergeant, 2 officers or 2 deputies assigned to backcountry, and 2 assigned full-time to our Marine. They, between the 2 entities, get called out most often amongst our special details because they supplement the other specialties within our organization, whether it be the sonar team, backcountry, search and rescue, everything of that nature. That being said, this stipend would help to aid in the assist the degree of which they're being called out on a repetitive basis, not only for their primary functions, but in addition to supplementing our other special details, we've now used their capabilities for SWAT callouts, dive team, et cetera, because of their specialties.
Okay. Leslie?
They already have. I've just been surprised over the last 4 years that this hasn't come up because they've already have special duty pay for all these other things. And I think for me, backcountry and marine, obviously marine is not all year round, but the backcountry, how can I explain this? Dive team gets money even when they're not diving. Backcountry doesn't get any money and they're always doing backcountry. Does that make sense?
I hear you. Go ahead.
So that's how I can support this.
Oh. Bill?
I'm okay with the request because I think the thing is we need to compensate these people as much as we possibly can within reason to keep them and so, let them know that they're valued.
Okay,
Okay,
so I'm gonna
that's
mark it as
3.
approved. Next is
Thank you.
from the jail. They are requesting to convert their booking positions to, HR is calling it a custody technician. There are 6 of these positions, and overall it would actually be a budget decrease of about 11,000.
So I'm in favor of doing what we can, but what I don't want to keep doing is changing things and not having it work. So I want to make sure that we're putting thought into, yes, this really is going to move us forward, because it sounded like when we went from CROs to detention deputies, didn't help. It didn't help a lot. So I want to make sure that we're, not doing change for change's sake, but actually, I'm not being very clear today because my brain's just BOE, so.
Okay. So what do you want to do with this? Hold it in abeyance for now?
No, I want to approve it. I just want to say that I don't want to keep doing this. I want something to work, and nobody's got the crystal ball. I do have a question, though. One of them is an increase, and then the other ones are all decreases.
That's because the one that's an increase is currently filled, all the others are vacant. So they told me their request was to give the existing employee a little bit more, and the open ones to just leave it as step 1.
Okay. Okay, we're good. I'm good.
Bill?
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Next is the request from KCSO detectives for their on-call pay pool. They want to keep it at the same amount of $10,600.
Leslie?
I don't think we're treating all 10 departments who have on-call people the same and fairly. So I'm just against this via principle. When they get called out, they do get overtime, and so that's just where I'm at.
So by doing it that way, are we consistent with the rest of the county?
If we do not give them on-call pay, which I can see the sheriff's on his way up now, that's where I've been for 4 years, so.
No change. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. I think if you look around the state and around the industry in general, detectives do get generally, it's common, an accepted practice for on-call pay.
And I would argue at some of those other practices, they get on-call pay because their hourly stipend isn't the same, isn't as much as we do, so. That's just where I'm at. And that one I was actually doing more research on and then BOE. That's our new curse word, by the way.
Robert Norris, the agencies that we have checked with, they get both. Bonner County Sheriff's Office does get a stipend and on-call pay. We require specific conditions of detectives and personnel who are subject to call, such as within close proximity, no consumption of alcohol, no consumption of any mind-altering prescription drugs, and et cetera, and et cetera. So we require specific conditions of employees on this particular issue. And I would argue on the previous issue with the control room operators to deputies, I believe that there has been positive change because we can now change out some of those deputies or the control room operators to deputies, have them work the field or on the floor for 4 hours and vice versa, so they're kept fresh. When you're looking at these monitors for 10, 12 hours at a time, they can become immune to
And
it.
I don't disagree with that at all. It was saying that we were going to be able to hire more people if we did this, and that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a lot of dynamics that
Sure.
have occurred in the last year and a half or so. But
Sure.
yeah, but I think, I believe if we continued at control room operators, which I believe we're at 4 vacancies right now, we'd probably have 12 vacancies at control room operators. But I believe that we need to be consistent with the industry standard with our agencies here in the Pacific Northwest to retain people, to also create a culture where people want to benefit themselves. We don't want an organization to become stagnant, and part of this on-call pay adds in that.
Okay, so is that the norm across law enforcement?
Yes, it is. Under Sheriff Nelson, it is a standard within law enforcement. Additionally, a county this size, we have an unwritten rule that any of our detectives need to be within a crime scene within an hour. Unlike the other entities within the county government, evidence is not lost, the crime scene is not compromised unless we have a timely response. The other entities I can't speak to, but knowing that you're going to have a detailed investigation begin within an hour of the time of call by our trained professionals within the organization speaks to the fact that we are a little bit different in the sense within the county government because law enforcement has the standard of things that are going to be missed, lost because of a timely manner and the elements we have out here.
Okay. How much are we talking about?
10 grand.
10 grand. Does that in any way present a problem in terms of consistency with, say, the prosecutor's office or any other organizations?
Prosecutors taking care of, they're exempt. They're
Okay,
not hourly.
got it.
So
All
I'm
right.
talking about the hourly people like adult misdemeanor probation who
AMP.
has to get there, quickly as well. And juvenile detention who has to respond to their, the facility quickly and, not under the influence and all that kind of stuff. So, it's just, you guys can do what you want. I just have to stand that we've got other departments that are not getting this pay. So that's all. I don't think we need to spend any more time on it.
Okay, once again, Bill?
I think it's important that we do this across the board where it's possible, but there are some areas where we need it more than others.
Okay, yeah, let's do it and move on. I understand the consistency argument. I have the same concern Leslie does, but I think there were those cases where specifically with regard to law enforcement, and I think some of the arguments that the undersheriff made where we have to make, if you want to call it, the exception, so I'm fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark it as approved. Next, we have a request from the prosecutor for 6 attorney positions to go up a grade. The logic is based on career progression. The total for all of them, annual cost would be $65,000.
So once again, I don't have all the information that I was going to have today, curse word, BOE. So I can't make a decision on this today.
Okay, so can we just hold this in abeyance to Friday?
Sure, we
Leslie, you
can
okay
wait
with
on
that?
these prosecutor ones until
Yeah,
Friday.
bear with us, folks, because with 765 appeals, there's little time sadly, for anything else, but okay, great. We can take it up on Friday.
Excuse me. And then Parks and Waterways is requesting to reclass 4 maintenance operators to a grade 7. This is just like the request that was approved for Building and Grounds. It's for countywide consistency for the maintenance operator position.
I'm good.
And then Sylvia, I forgot to ask, does this involve airport, or now these are all going to be similar to airport?
I don't remember what grade their airport people are. We
Okay.
did not look at them. I'm not sure if they have a maintenance operator. If they do, we should have that conversation with Stephen. They don't.
Okay.
They don't have this
Oh, they
position.
don't? Okay. All right, I was just
Yeah.
making sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it because it has to do with the solid waste, the building and grounds. They're
Okay.
treating everybody fairly. So, I mean,
Okay.
consistently, not fairly, consistently.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I'll mark that as approved.
Yep.
Next, Snowmobile is requesting to freeze their seasonal pool. They don't need it, so it's a $2,700 budget savings.
Okay.
Good with
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Okay. Solid Waste, once again, requesting to reclass the maintenance operator, just like Parks and Waterways. Okay?
Yep.
Mark that as approved. Treasurer is requesting a step for their specialist 2. They do have this on the agenda for the HR meeting this week. So if you want, we can just leave this for now.
Yeah.
And if you approve it later this week, I'll cut it from the budget.
That's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
That'll work.
Treasurer is also requesting to freeze their seasonal pool of $16,000. They would rather use overtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're good with that.
Yep.
And then lastly, Veteran Services is requesting to go up 2 steps. The explanation was for parity. It's $5,800 a year.
Okay. Sylvia, did you want to comment on that?
We did look at that request as well and agreed that a parity adjustment needed to be made.
Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, internal alignment is a concern, and we have a couple of those that we're already addressing. So
Bill?
if that's what HR says, then it needs to
Okay,
happen.
Okay.
good.
Mark that is approved. Okay, so we got through all the requests, which is great. There are 2 that we're leaving open that are on the HR meeting this week. We cut the overtime pool for Carlene to $15,000. And then the prosecutor's requests, you said you wanted to address this Friday?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll leave
Yep.
those open. Everything
Yeah,
else has,
leave it in, and then we'll address it.
Yep.
so everything else has been addressed?
Okay.
Any other questions? I don't have anything else for you.
You have nothing else for us, okay?
Yeah. My only concern is, depending on how this week goes, which is not going well, that I don't know that I'll be done by Friday.
Done reviewing the prosecutor's requests?
No, I'll be
or-
done. I don't know I'll be done with suggested cuts by Friday.
Okay,
So that's why I think I emailed you guys, maybe I never pushed send, I don't remember
No.
now, about, I'm okay going forward if you guys are okay making cuts on the night of the hearing, which I like to make all my cuts ahead of time, but if we can't get that done, then what does that mean for you?
so you want to make cuts during the public hearing?
If if I'm pressed
You'd
into.
rather not,
If
is what you're
July
saying.
15th is our final, then I may need to suggest cuts at the hearing.
We
If you
do
can-
have a meeting on August 1st with you guys again. That's
Okay.
supposed to be the final budget. So if by August 1st you have cuts, we can do it then too.
I think we can do
Okay.
that. We can do that.
That is
Yep.
easy.
We can do
that-
that.
okay.
I can do
Because
that.
the way it looks now, we're going to be running BOE right through the 18th, which is a week from today, and 4 more were added today.
Right.
They were correctly postmarked, but for some reason, they just came in.
And that affects our processes too with
Okay.
revenues.
So, yeah, I mean, essentially, you can always decrease the budget.
Correct,
and
correct.
cut-
But I don't know what kind of headache that makes for you guys to do it that night.
I mean, obviously we prefer it by August 1st.
Sure.
It's just,
So,
it ends up our published budget doesn't, what we publish and is out there as our published budget ends up as a different amount than what actually gets approved at the hearing. But that's.
And you need to publish how far in advance of the public hearing?
you just have to have it published by the 15th
August.
of August.
So if we finalize, so to speak, on
You
the
make-
1st, you're
yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay? Okay. Public comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
when can we expect something from HR with the wage analysis? Because we're forecasting recruitment and what have you, and we're in a very difficult position. We're just wondering when those numbers are going to be released.
So am I, by the way. We've been so wrapped up with BOE, we don't know either, but go ahead, Sylvia.
So we are doing a little bit more adjustment. We're gonna have another meeting with the sheriff's office tomorrow because there's still some compression concerns in a couple of your levels. So we wanna work through that. After that, I mean, we can give the preliminary matrices if the board agrees, but until the board says, okay, we're going with this plus the COLA.
What's
we've
the
kind of
date?
held
August
back.
31st? What's the
date for
date?
what?
Hearing.
The
It's
hearing is,
31st.
August 30th.
August 31st.
August 31st.
Oh, sorry, for what, the tentative budget?
No.
The
Final.
hearing, the final.
Hearing.
The public
Public
hearing.
hearing, I believe.
It's
is
August
August
31st.
31st, yes.
Okay, so August 31st, we could have something to publish to the public, to people coming in. But until that vote is taken that day, we can't really put something out. I mean, I guess we would be comfortable when it's published, maybe 2 weeks prior
okay.
to do that, so.
We'll just mark everything draft, that.
Okay.
Any of the
So people
matrices
knows.
we create, we'll mark them as draft and not as final approval and go from there.
So, but you're meeting with the sheriff tomorrow.
Yes.
So he's going to have a reasonable idea, correct me if I'm wrong, as to what the increases are going to be looking like for him.
They won't have them by individual, it's the matrices
Right.
that they're seeing. And we have met with almost all of the elected officials. We have not had the opportunity to meet with the commissioners because you are doing BOE. So I would like to afford the commissioners that opportunity, look at the, how we moved positions based on the wage study, where they landed, those sort of things. The same thing we're doing with the rest of them.
So it's probably fair to say that if you have to publish the budget 2 weeks prior, so 2 weeks prior to the 31st would be something like the 16th or 17th, then we really should have made decisions.
Well, yeah,
We will have,
We will have decided that absolutely by that published date.
right, there you go.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from a legal, legal perspective, saying, we're going to pay you this, but the commissioners haven't approved the budget. So that's where it gets a little weird. But once we publish the budget, then we can say, look, this is where we're going. And then, it'll be solidified on August 31st.
After August 1st, though, it can just be cuts. There's no increases.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
Cannot increase the budget at that point.
correct.
Okay.
From a calculation standpoint, I mean, we're gonna wanna know by August 1st if your intention is to change the wage study, because that's the piece that takes a long time to work
Yes.
through the system. So, if you're not going with that number, the end of the month is.
If
need
we
to
have-
know by the end of the month.
Right.
if-
Yeah.
Speaking for
Your-
myself, if we have the specifics from HR,
Right.
I would be ready to make that commitment. Clearly, as Leslie has pointed out, it's not official until the 31st. But will be certainly ready and willing to vote on the increases on the 1st.
Yeah, I've seen enough where I'm
I think
comfortable
we're- I
putting
think
it
we're good.
forward.
Okay.
Figure August 1st.
And from a legal standpoint, as long as the budget isn't increased, but it can be decreased.
It can be
It can be
decreased, but
decreased, but it can't be increased.
yeah, from our standpoint,
So-
and Nancy and Sylvia's standpoint, it takes, if you're gonna adjust the pay matrix whole scale to work that through and get you an accurate number, it takes time, so.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive for us and HR and IT.
Yeah, I don't have any intentions to touch that at this point. I mean, I have other cuts I'm looking at.
also,
I
last
think-
year, you guys had a mid-year pool for compression and mid-year changes. So on Friday, as we start compiling these numbers, if you guys want to consider that too, for any changes or changes with the matrix.
We're
as we-
definitely going to suggest that you have one based on discussions with IT and HR because of the way our system works, and I'll explain that in more detail later.
Okay, my only concern is with 120-something openings, that's going to be over taxation in my mind, because we're going to have those.
I'll explain better this Friday, but
Okay.
it's going to be absorbing excess revenue is what it is
Gotcha.
because we need something to absorb changes that are going to happen because we have to basically start from scratch in our system for the positions to adopt the new matrix. And when we do that, our system is going to pull in any changes that have happened from pay period 14
Gotcha.
then. And then we run into legal trouble because that would increase the budget, even if
Right.
it's only a couple $100s.
Gotcha.
And then all your requests that you've approved, this is based on the FY22 matrix. So Sylvia and I are working on a calculation. We also
Oh.
need a pool to absorb the changes when these get bumped up on the new matrix. So it's kind of technical, but we will
So
need
basically
more.
August 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have the matrices set by August,
Okay.
or, yeah, by the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay, and, anyone else for public comment?
I think Keith.
Let me, Teresa?
Hello, my name is Teresa Wampel, and I am a resident of Post Falls, and I'm here to comment on the budget.
Can you turn your mic on, please?
Yeah, just hit the button.
Yeah, thank you.
Teresa Wampel, Post Falls. Thank you for letting me know that. So I'm here today due to some comments that were made at a commissioner meeting a few weeks ago. At that meeting, an elected representative suggested that the county funding for Heritage Health should be cut as a result of the sponsorship of Pride in the Park. First of all, I have no affiliation with Heritage Health, just affinity for the incredible work that they do in our community. Next, I think it's crucial to inform the board and the public about who Heritage Health is. The mission of Heritage Health is to deliver a healthcare experience that provides hope, inspires change, and extends the life of our patients and our community. Their vision is to live in a community where people thrive because they are free from the devastating impacts of chronic disease, poor mental health, and harmful substances. And I think we can all recognize, especially at this point in our history, how important it is for early interventions for chronic mental and substance abuse within our community. As elected officials, I'm sure that there's been a time or two where you had hoped that you could have an opportunity to speak to a larger audience, to proactively inform and get feedback on the important work that you do here in this room. Any reasonable representative would want to do that, and I'm sure that you'd have loved to meet with every community member, for example, to talk to them about how tax assessments work over the past couple of weeks, instead of getting the phone calls, I'm sure, and the emails that you've received from community members that are really stressed out and scared about what that tax assessment means for them. And from a community information and intervention perspective, Heritage is not very different. They want to speak with all of the folks in our community as well. Again, I have no affiliation with the organization, but when the community knows about subsidized dental care, accessible mental health care, and the mobile care that they provide by way of the mobile medical unit, when community members know about these services, they use these services. And that information in our community makes them good stewards of tax dollars. Community outreach is likely why I saw Heritage Health earlier this week at the Post Falls Festival. Heritage was at the 4th of July parade here in Coeur d'Alene. They had an event at Silverwood in May, a beloved local business. They participated in the Health Expo earlier this spring at the fairgrounds. And one only has to look at their website or at their social media accounts to know that this is the way that Heritage engages in our community. They host and attend events to ensure that all members of our community have knowledge and access of the services that they are that are supported by many funding sources, including the county, of course. And as a resident of this county, I see their extensive outreach as an unmatched asset to our community, making them incredible stewards of tax dollars. Instead of ostracizing entire segments of our community, and in this case, that would be our LGBTQ plus community, I ask that you, as commissioners, consider how you engage in the community. When you look at the extensive work that Heritage has done to ensure our community has access to mental, dental, preventative, and substance abuse health, I ask that you look internally at how you have taken the time to speak with all those niches in our community to ensure that you're appropriately representing the needs of Kootenai County residents. I hope that I get to see you at more community events, both listening and engaging and learning from your constituents. I, for one, support the Community Health Clinic and support tax funding that promotes quality health outcomes for all corners of our community. Please maintain the funding for Heritage Health and truly enhance the resources if it's possible, because I appreciate organizations that work tirelessly to improve the health of North Idahoans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Teresa. Keith?
Yes, I would be a little bit remiss if I didn't come up and talk about our officers, on the call-out stuff. I'd like to maybe if the other two commissioners would let me.
Is that on?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Probably not speaking loud, and I'm sorry about that. What I wanted to talk to you is about the call out for our officers also. I brought something forward last year that doesn't cost the county any money or anything like that. Just looking for the okay to work with my liaison to try to figure something out on that aspect of it. You know, it is kind of a decision a little bit, sorry about that. But just something I can work with my liaison so I can, you know, help compensate our officers that are averaging 4 to 5 call outs on the weekends and stuff like that.
So in lieu of call-out pay is what he's asking, potentially for comp time and other things like that. So,
And it's just, I brought it forward last year and we didn't do the call, but I'd be remiss if I
That's
didn't bring it
fine,
back to you
absolutely.
guys again here. It's during personnel stuff like that. I don't want to take you up in the HR meeting and everything else.
Yep.
yeah,
Get with-
we may need to work on something. It has to be
fine.
policy
Okay,
change.
Yep.
So,
okay. I'll work with HR. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Public comment? Okay, I have 10:47, meeting adjourned. Thank you.